The co-leader of the Green Party, Russel Norman, with us this morning. Morning, Russell.
Morning, Wamo.
And one of many co-leaders now, or at least that's what some people thought after the press release that went out on April Fools. You managed to get one over the line again.
Yeah, we got a reasonable pickup from the media, actually.
It's so gullible, because it's not the first time. And you guys do an April Fools every year.
Yeah, but they forget a year's a long time in politics.
It's a Green Party MP Gareth Hughes said the appointment of extra Green Party co-leaders was totes gangster, man. But no doubt he has leadership aspirations somewhere in there.
Yep.
In future years, for sure. First up, though, let's look at this issue of Pokie machines with Sky City and the deal being done between the government and Sky City. John Key yesterday actually said that the number of Pokie machines in Auckland will continue to drop even if Sky City Casino is allowed to have more of them. What do you make of that?
Well, there has been some reduction in the number of non-casino Pokie machines, so the pub Pokie machines, because against the National Party opposition, when we had the numbers some years ago, we got a gambling bill through, which is putting some downward pressure on Pokie numbers. But that will be completely overwhelmed by the increase from Sky City.
Yeah. There's been some discussion about the benefits of having Pokie machines in a controlled environment like Sky City as opposed to out in the pubs. Do you think it matters at all?
Well, the correct comparison is between having 500 extra Pokies at Sky City Casino and not having 500 extra Pokies. The Prime Minister is trying to confuse the issue by comparing 500 new Pokies in the casino with 500 new Pokies in pubs, but of course no one is proposing 500 new Pokies in pubs. They're just proposing a filthy, disgusting deal with Sky City to have 500 new Pokies in the casino.
What did you say it was, a filthy, disgusting deal?
Yeah, it is disgusting.
Filthy, disgusting deal. Okay.
Well, because, how often does the government do a deal which knows it will cause enormous harm? We know that this will cause, there's going to be 400 new problem gamblers, probably. They're going to all have families who are all going to be impacted. There's going to be more crime, because that's what comes from problem gambling. People steal money from wherever they can get it. There's going to be more buggered up relationships and families. this is a government actively causing harm and knowing it's causing harm.
You don't think we can balance that negative stuff you just mentioned off with jobs at the new convention centre?
Well, who knows whether what will come out of the new convention centre. But if I think that is what they mean by balance. They mean the balance is that Sky City gets a whole bunch of extra money and the community bears the cost of a whole bunch of problem gambling, and a whole bunch of families are broken up by it. It's a disgusting thing for a government to do.
Okay, moving on. Is it time for the Greens to tackle the government once more on drug law reform? This is on the back of news from Australia that Foreign Affairs Minister Bob Carr has joined a group of prominent Australians declaring the war on drugs has failed and it's the most significant challenge to drug law over there. The report is from Australia 21, and it comes to the conclusion that the tough law and order approach is doing more harm than good. There's very high-profile Australians, including the Foreign Affairs Minister, who's now at odds with the Prime Minister there, who says, no, tough policing is what we need. That's quite a good signal over there, though, and perhaps a cue for the Greens to get back on the drug horse.
Yeah, drug law reform horse. Obviously we've never stopped being on that horse, and we've argued the case for drug law reform many, many times, and we'll continue to do so. It's good that that there's been movement within some more mainstream figures around drug law reform, and I welcome it. We'll keep pushing it.
Well, apparently it's a worldwide trend that the cracks. Talking to Ross Bell this morning from New Zealand Drug Foundation, he's saying that the cracks are showing, in government's resolve for the drugs on war all around the world. New Zealand lagging behind and even discussing it.
Yeah. It's clearly true that the two large parties haven't been willing to address this issue for a very long time. If we welcome any moves to actually have a rational discussion about drug policy rather than the nutso bingo discussion we generally have.
Not a Don Brash discussion on it.
Well, good on. Oh, I mean, Don Brash was, he actually came out and said it like he saw it.
Wasn't policy though, is it? I mean, no one, apart from the Greens, is coming up with any sort of policy for drug.
Well, ACT have actually flip-flopped on it. So in the earlier days where they used to have, liberal principles and all that, they actually did support drug law reform, but then they became the tough-on-crime party and all the nonsense that went with it, and disappeared into oblivion. And then they changed the policy. But I mean, obviously, if you're a libertarian, then you don't support the stupid drug laws. But if you just believe in rational drug policy, then you don't support the nutso-bingo drug laws.
So where does it rate on the priority list for the Greens?
Well, I mean, it's one of the issues that we'd hope to make progress on, but we just haven't managed to find a lot of allies in the political world.
Yeah, because they think it's it's politically damaging to come out with any kind of even discussion on it, particularly from Labour and National. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I mean, surely part of the role of politicians and politics is to provide some leadership and actually, come out and say that what we all know is true, which is obviously the current drug laws don't work, and the whole war on drugs is a complete failure and always was. And we need, evidence-based drug law.
SAS coming back, and so far, they haven't been announced that they're being redeployed or anything like that. You guys on top of that and keeping John Key to his word that he's not going to redeploy them?
Well, that's right. So for the moment, he said they're not going to redeploy, and I suspect that they probably won't. But we'll keep an eye on it. I mean, he did redeploy them, and as a result, there were deaths. I mean, that's the truth. That's what happened. And so, I certainly hope he doesn't redeploy.
Russel Norman, co-leader of the Greens, thanks very much for your time this morning. Cheers.
Okay, cheers, mate.
17 minutes past 8 here on Kiwi. On the way, more Russell stuff. Brown this time.